Alrighty team, what's going on? Welcome to my Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 3 review, plus some Chapter 3 theories and ideas. Last time I did one of these videos, I actually kind of sectioned it off, so I went from like each different specific theme of the season, such as weapons or the battle pass, and just kind of rated it like that. But this time, besides the battle pass, I'm actually going to be doing a positive and a negative category. I feel like that'll help section off the video a little bit more, make it a little bit simpler to understand, exactly what I think of each thing. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of positive, so I kind of want to even it out that way. If you're hyped for Chapter 3, chuck us a like down below, just because. I don't really beg for this stuff, but why not, I was actually going to make some ranking videos instead of this, but some of my friends said that they really enjoyed watching this video and they'd like me to make another, so I'm going to go ahead and make another. Here is Season 8 reviewed by a casual player. Enjoy. Alrighty, so our first order of business is going to be the Battle Pass. Now, the Battle Pass is, in my opinion, one of the coolest parts about the game. It allows you to get a lot of items for really cheap, and, a lot of times has a lot to do with the storyline. Unfortunately, this season's Battle Pass was awful. I'll explain some of the skins I liked, but, overall it just was not that good. So starting off, I'm going to point out a glaring issue that not a lot of people seem to talk about. Why in the world, from this season and last season, the tier 100 skins both collab skins, right? At least with last season, Rick made sense to be in the battle pass. Maybe not tier 100, definitely not tier 100, but at least in the battle pass. But this season, you want to know what it is? This is what Fortnite has become. It's an advertisement because there's a new, Venom Carnage movie coming out. So they throw Venom, a skin that, although by himself looks okay, really does not match anything in the game. They throw him there at tier 100, so you grind all this time just to get some random collab skin that doesn't make any sense, doesn't relate to the season, and it just doesn't really match anything. And that, I was so mad when I saw that, bro. I was like, they did what they did with Rick, but he actually made sense. This time, it doesn't. So Torrin should have been the tier 100 skin, just like with last season, how Sloan made sense storyline-wise, and her fully upgraded version would have been nice for the tier 100 spot. This time around, Torrin is a really nice skin, and I feel like if you had her on the final page and then added her like secondary sideways, I think it's called the sideways stalker version of her, if you added that as the tier 100 spot, she's a tier 100 skin, but at the tier 100 spot on that page, just had that version, it would be so cool. It's such a unique and nice looking skin. I mean, she could definitely do without the cape attached to her. I wish she could choose to have that on or off, but regardless, it's a really nice skin that storyline wise, because she's supposed to be like some sideways warrior or something, it actually makes sense to have her at the tier 100 spot, but unfortunately they just did not put her there, and that kind of sucks. I really like that skin. Next up, we have the monkey guy. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. He does make so much sense for the war effort, and his the personality they gave to this skin is very prominent in a lot of different media and stuff. So I guess it makes sense in that fashion. But in my opinion, once again, although he doesn't look bad as a skin, he doesn't make sense. Doesn't make a ton of sense for the battle pass. He's okay. He makes somewhat sense, but just not really enough for me to consider him to be a good battle pass skin. Oh boy, now getting on to the unicorn. The unicorn guy is a very unique issue because his normal style makes me want to puke. Like, it's disgusting. It sucks. But his other styles are really, really good and it actually makes sense with him. I find it funny how they gave him lore and stuff just for that one battle pass skin. And he's a meme skin. And meme skins don't always have to relate to the theme of the season, in my opinion. Not every skin in the battle pass has to be relating to the theme of the season. But a meme skin especially, just kind of throw it in there for fun, What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that he looks like trash, so, as much as I like his other styles, especially the fire one, I really do not like his base style. Alrighty, up next we got Core. Very nice skin. Another IO related skin. Kind of makes sense for this season. Her styles are great. I love her second style that she gets, and I also love how you can get the trench coat. Very, very nice. I very much like this skin. It's just her base version is a little bit bland, but she's pretty cool. We have Tuna Fish up next. I was actually very angry, honestly, when I saw this skin. At first, that would make total sense as an item shop skin, but the way that they implemented the finding the bottles to customize them and having all the other skins, I think it actually makes sense. Maybe not specifically for this battle pass, but I'll give them a pass on it. It works. It's very, very nice. I like it. I don't run it a whole ton, but I like it. And as much as it would have made sense in maybe another battle pass, it's not too bad to have in this one. And last, we have Charlotte. This one, I don't get it. She's some like goth teenager with superpowers, kind of anime looking. I don't know why in the world they added that, not only as a tier 1 skin, but even in this battle pass. It's not even that it's not related, it's that it's just could be so cool with like the superhero season or something, but instead it's in this battle pass. I don't really understand. So there's the overview of the battle pass. Mostly negative, but there was a couple good skins. Alright, so up first with positive and negative. I'm going to go with positive. I'm just going to share my positive thoughts first. I think it would be better to just kind of do the nicer ones first. So the positive I'm going to start off with 2 specific guns, and that is the sideways minigun and the sideways scythe. Now the sideways minigun is a very cool weapon. It's basically a more balanced version of the minigun that starts off as like an okay gun, but once it kicks into that overdrive version, it's really, really good. It just shreds through builds, but it's also not laser accurate, so although you can definitely use it in place of a rifle, it's not going to be like perfectly accurate. Like, you don't have first shot accuracy or really anything close to that. There's also the problem that you can't really use it as an SMG because it has this barely like a quarter of a second pullout time that it doesn't shoot, and it really, really, really messes me up every time I try to use it as an SMG, because if I have a pump shotgun, I'm going to want to instantly switch over to my gun and be able to spray them down. So unfortunately it doesn't serve that purpose, but other than that, it's a pretty good gun, very unique, and certainly better than the other sideways guns. Now the sideways scythe follows a similar pattern as to where it's basically a very much balanced version of the Infinity Blade. That's just kind of what I like to think of it as, and it's a very unique weapon. Got very, very, very cool animations, and it's one that really doesn't serve very much purpose, but once you get up into someone's box, oh my goodness, it shreds. It's just very fun to use, overall, and it's one of those guns that focuses more on like how it looks and how it feels more than the actual damage that it does, and I think that's kind of cool. Like, sometimes you just gotta have that crazy stuff that just looks really, really cool, and even if it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, it somehow just works and is a really, really good weapon. Alright, so I'm actually gonna put like a little mini subject right here, and that's consistent updates. There's not really one specific thing to talk about with this, but the updates were definitely more consistent. Sometimes I think we were getting like almost 2 updates a week sometimes, which is just insane, and really allowed for a lot of fun, unique, and creative items to be brought to the game, such as armored walls or the unvaulting of the grappler, and just things like that I just so love. There's definitely a downside to this chapter that comes with the lack of updates in this season. Although it doesn't make up for what it lacked at the start, it still makes up for some of the other seasons by adding a lot of new content and stuff, and also unvaulting a lot of old content. Speaking of unvaultings, it's time to talk about the voting boards. One of the best things Fortnite has ever added. At first, it was a really bad idea in my opinion with like the turrets and stuff, because turrets are overpowered as crap. But, I think in the end, when it came down to things like the combat and right now the flintlock, and especially with like the shockwave launcher and stuff, it was so great to be able to have the community kind of vote on something and have a little bit of tension almost between the Fortnite community. It was a really good idea by them. At first I kind of thought it was lazy, like, oh, we're too lazy to add our own items, so we're just gonna have you vote on them, but that doesn't really make sense to me now, and I very much enjoyed this, being able to blow all that gold because there's really nothing else to spend it on, because vending machines suck, exotics suck, and there's definitely not a lot of things to spend your gold on. To be able to just blow 5,000 gold on your favorite item so it can come out just a little bit earlier. That was one of my favorite parts about this season, I'm gonna be honest, and that's definitely up there with some of the positives. And the last thing on our positive list is going to be Fortnitemares. Fortnitemares was very, very, very good this season, and honestly should have been what the start of this season was like. Lots of updates, lots of changes, and most importantly, map updates. I mean, we had the caretaker, we had the convergence. I mean, just think about all the things that we got in that one singular update. It was pretty amazing, I'm going to be honest. Definitely better than any of the Fortnite mirrors before. Yeah, I mean, saying that the zombies were already implemented into the season, there wasn't really much opportunity to have the really annoying zombies like the other Fortnite mirrors sometimes did. So yeah, I would say that's the best Fortnite mirrors ever, and this probably should have been in the Battle Pass section, but I'm just going to give it here. The Cube Queen, in my opinion, is one of the greatest secret skins Fortnite's ever had. It makes perfect sense storyline-wise. It's a very, very unique skin, and it looks sick. Crossovers have been plaguing Fortnite, and really making it advertise anything but Fortnite itself, and just, honestly, the item shop just isn't fun anymore, saying that every single skin is a crossover skin. But, you know, the Cube Queen being, I'm pretty sure, the first non-crossover secret skin since almost 2 years ago. It was just a great choice. I know a lot of people think she's bad because she's weird, but that's a good thing. Like, she reminds me so much of someone that would be in like Overwatch or something. Like, and her secondary styles are just so great. She's honestly my favorite skin in the entire Battle Pass. Now, unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the positives. As much as I would love for this season to have been absolutely great and amazing and really made a lot of sense to be the last season of the chapter, it just was not at all. Like, those positives do not even compare to how bad this season was. Alright, let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. The map. I was just baffled when I saw how bad they messed it up. This could have been one of the coolest maps we'd ever had. You know, just destruction everywhere, and it just shocked me, and it still shocks me. Like, I've come to learn, you know, Fortnite will disappoint you a lot, but not this much. To say that you have an event, an amazing event, by the way, but you have an event where, like, literally, I'm pretty sure I saw like 6 or 7 locations on the map get obliterated, and you don't change a single one of them. You added these like poop stains looking things around the map that are just kind of crash sites, and although they are very good, they have a lot of loot, a lot of mats, you know, they're just not interesting, they're not unique, and they're all just the same thing, and they're not really drop spots, because there's no like actual buildings or anything there. There's not really a lot of appeal to them, in my opinion. You know, they just reuse slipstreams, which I think is cool, but they just don't add anything to the map. And saying that there's even an opportunity to change the map when they started like moving the cubes around and stuff, like there's an opportunity for those to like crush things and actually break the map, then they just avoided this season in any way, shape, or form possible to change the map. I mean, you can even see right now, as I dropped into stealthy in this video, you can see that the map like around stealthy changed, but nothing on stealthy, not even a tree at stealthy stronghold changed, just the color of the map. It's just so disappointing that they purposefully avoided changing the map in a season that pretty much its success kind of revolved around them changing the map. You know, I was thinking like, oh, you could have like all the old locations from the Mothership minigame crash down to the map, and, you know, destroyed locations being rebuilt or turned into like alien settlements. That would be really cool. And they just didn't do any of it, and it just disappointed me so much. Yeah, just probably, in my opinion, the worst part of the entire season has to be the map. Alright, so next up is going to be the Sideways. The Sideways, in theory, is a really cool idea, but it just is not that useful. Like, when do you and your friends get on Fortnite and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna land the Sideways today? Nobody does that. I mean, the only time I ever have actually grinded out the Sideways was one time that I was doing a challenge to get like one of the styles for tuna fish, and another time me and my friend were doing a challenge, and we had a bunch of Sideways challenges to do, so we had to open up a few of the Sideways portals, and we started realizing how easily we were doing them, so we decided to keep on grinding them until we had full mythic stuff, just because we literally had nothing else to do that game. Yeah, the Sideways, I mean, as cool as it is, you know, aesthetically it's cool, but you just can't really see anything, like, at all. And the zombies are so unbelievably annoying. You know, the cube weapons and stuff, like the sideways weapons, would be cool if you didn't have to spend half of your game grinding to get the cube parts. Like, did they not learn from Season 6 when everybody hated, like, having to grind half the game out just to get, like, one good gun? Like, it just doesn't seem like they really know, like, when to learn from their mistakes, and it honestly is a little bit crazy to me. You know, it would be so cool if it wasn't such a grind, if you could see a little bit easier, and if it maybe, like, I don't know, changed the structures a little bit more than it already does. It could be pretty cool, but in its current state, the sideways just is not super useful. And I mean, there isn't really a time where I can specifically remember anybody that I know wanting to land there, you know, saying, yes, please, let's land the sideways, except for when we want to, like, switch things up and just kind of see if anybody else lands there, because nobody really lands at the sideways. I almost feel bad for Epic Games, because they made this whole feature try to be like the main thing of their season, and they just kind of messed it up like big time. But at the same time, I don't feel bad for them because they do that crap all the time. So yeah, sideways, in my opinion, is not good. Alright, next up I'm going to talk about two things kind of related to the sideways. First up, I'm going to be talking about the fog on the map, just because the sideways has a lot of fog, and I think this would be a good way to transition into it. You know, the fog on the map, similar to the storm from Season 7, it's just really, really annoying, you know, and although in theory it makes it really cool, like you're playing the game, oh wow, this is really cool, this is scary, and oh, sideways taking over the map. Well, when you're actually trying to play the game and fight people, and you're not just kind of standing there on your own looking around, you know, as beautiful and cool as it looks for Fortnite to have that fog, it just is not very useful, like, towards the game in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't improve the game, it doesn't make the player experience any better, and it's just kind of a useless feature they added for the looks. You know, like I said, things like the sideways scythe, the looks of how it spins around and stuff can really add a lot to the feature, but when it comes to the fog, it's just an annoyance that I don't think anybody really likes. And then the next thing I'm going to talk about is the sideways weapons that I have not talked about already, just because they also relate to the sideways. One, the dual fiend hunters. I guess they're not really sideways weapons, but they're sideways weapons. They're not sideways weapons, but they're sideways weapons. And then the sideways rifle. So two weapons that are also in theory kind of cool, like, oh, the sideways rifle, it charges up and stuff, and then, you know, the dual fiend hunters, I guess, oh, it's the fiend hunters, but they actually deal somewhat good damage and have range, and yeah, it's not good still. So, I mean, the problem with both of those guns, I would say maybe the biggest problem is the bloom. You know, the sideways rifle hits for okay damage, same thing with the sideways crossbows, but, you know, the bloom really doesn't allow it to make up for it. Like, normally, sometimes you'll have a gun like, you know, for instance, the infantry rifle, that although it doesn't hit for like an insane, absolutely crazy amount of damage, it still hits for good damage, but it doesn't hit for anything like super crazy. You know, it makes up for that because it has almost no bloom, so you can just absolutely laser people. The sideways weapons, or at least the two that I've mentioned here, could have easily been like that. Although they don't have very good fire rate, and they only have like okay, somewhat good damage. If they had no bloom, it could have really made up for what they lost. But, you know, even after Epic Games updated them to try and buff them, they still just were not useful. Or I guess I didn't really update the Fiend Hunters. I should just say more the sideways rifle. They're just not useful, they're not very good, and honestly I would rather have a gray rifle over a mythic sideways rifle, and I almost never see anybody using either of these guns, pretty much ever. Another thing I want to talk about is another thing that started off with the season, and that's the starting loot pool. The loot pool now is really good, but for about a month it was just very, very boring and really did not make me want to play the game very much. You know, thankfully they came back from it, but you know, very similar to this season, it started out bad, came back to be a lot better, but still, you just cannot forgive what happened. I guess you can't forgive, but Epic Games is never going to be sorry for pretty much anything they've done. So, yeah, I mean, really just started out boring. Pretty much the entire season started out boring, and even though there's a lot of cool stuff now, it's still kind of boring. Like, it still just is not as enticing as last season at all. And as short as that all seems, that's all I have to say about the season. I mean, really, I just still, like, cannot kind of wrap my mind around the fact that this is a new season. It feels exactly like last season, with pretty much no changes whatsoever. The loot pool is just better. That's basically the only difference in my opinion. You know, I mean, honestly, just nothing will compare to the disappointment I had when I opened up the game. I woke up early to play the game and I opened it up, and there was just pretty much nothing changed in a really bad battle pass. You know, I just can't believe, like, Epic Games messed up this bad, and I am kind of going to use this as an example for myself to just never really get my hopes up with this game again. I know that sounds really sad and really negative, but it's just true. Like, unfortunately, Epic Games just doesn't really pull through as much as they did, you know, a year or two ago. And I mean, even then, it was not as good as Chapter 1. And definitely, for the end of this chapter, this is not the season. This is not a good season, and it doesn't really get me hyped for the end of Chapter 2. I'm still hyped, but it's not anywhere as close as it could have been with, you know, a better season, or just this season with a lot more changes. It's just weird, bro. It's like they bring back Kevin the Cube, one of the best, you know, most important and loved characters of all time, and they bring back like all these cubes and stuff, and still nobody seems to care. And I don't really know a lot of people who are gonna ever really put this season high, because, you know, nobody really seemed to enjoy it at first, and although people enjoy it more now, I think us as a Fortnite community can kind of all come together and agree, like, this season just really is not that good. Just saying that they are even willing to add back mechs, which is the thing that literally, I mean, for most people ruined the game because it kind of showed their true intentions. You know, just saying that they're even willing to add back the pretty much thing that single-handedly destroyed their game. I should elaborate. Like, that is one of the main things that destroyed their game and made it what it is today. Saying that they're willing to just add that back, like, Epic Games really just is not that smart of a company, it seems. I don't know, but they just don't really know what they're doing right now. And I'm not a video game designer. I'm not going to act like I know what I know a single thing about making a game, but don't do things to make your community hate your game would be a pretty simple rule to follow. So I don't know what's going on. What I do know is that I did not enjoy this season very much. I'm giving the Battle Pass a 4.5 out of 10. I'm going to give the map starting out a 2 out of 10, and now it's about a 3 out of 10. In the season overall, I'm going to give a 5 out of 10. It wasn't absolutely horrible, and it definitely got a lot better, but still just is not a good season in my opinion. Alright, now we're going to be moving on to the Chapter 3 theories along with some ideas. This is what I'm most excited for about this video. You know, Chapter 3 right around the corner. As much as I would just love for them to bring the old map back, and I don't exactly want a new map anywhere close to as much as I want the old map, you know, it's not going to happen. Epic Games just is not going to make that happen, unfortunately. Like I said, they don't like to pull through as much nowadays, so that's probably not going to happen. What I can count on, though, is at least a good map, right? Like, Winter's Coming has been teased by, I think it was Tabor Hill or something, and, you know, a lot of people have been talking about, like, a snow biome on the map. So, you know, at least having biomes and stuff will be something cool. I'm just excited to see what they do, honestly. Definitely not as excited as I would have been, you know, prior to this season, and if we would have had another season, but still excited nonetheless. Alrighty, so here's some things you can kind of consider, like ideas or theories, or really it's just me brainstorming to try to see what, you know, I want from a new chapter. So ideally, I'm thinking we have a bigger map, obviously. Maybe it can fit like more players and stuff, but just a bigger map, because even though this map is big, it just doesn't feel that big. What I would love to see is like 20 locations. So, you know, this chapter started out with 13, and, you know, it just was not enough in my opinion. It really left a lackluster feeling, and still we have more locations than that, but there's just so much of this map that could be filled with stuff that that there just isn't really anywhere left to land that's like super exciting or exhilarating. I'm thinking we have 5 locations from the old map, including, like I said, like biomes and stuff. I think I said that. you know, just things that were on the old map, and then 5 things, biomes and locations. I guess there's not really biomes on this map, but you know what I mean, locations and stuff in like the surrounding areas that are on this map. So that's 10 locations, so we can get a lot of stuff from the old map and a lot of stuff from the new map, along with some like unnamed landmarks and stuff, like maybe Hydro 16, maybe, Junk Junction is like an unnamed location, and just stuff like that. Little Mexico, like the racetrack. I would love to see Paradise Palms back, because that's my favorite location of all time. But we have, alongside that, we have more locations from the Chapter 2 map. And then next, I want to see 10 new locations, at least 10 new locations. So I'm thinking that, and then the 10 new locations, we'd have a really stacked map. I'm thinking like something in the middle, kind of similar to like the Agency or the Authority, that's just super hype. Bringing mythics and bosses back along with the vaults, just nerfing it all, because I hated the super overpowered mythics and the super overpowered bosses. Just kind of like a speed run there, like things I would like to see on the new map. I want to see a lot of locations that aren't just kind of like suburbs. Like now we have things like Retail Row and Pleasant Park and locations like that, and that's just kind of all the map has to offer. Feels like locations similar to that are just kind of neighborhoods and towns and stuff. I want to see some cities. I want to see some really cool like biome stuff, like a crazy jungle with like villages in the trees or something just ridiculous like that, or like these massive mountains that have like skiing things on them. Just think about like all the features that could be implemented and stuff with a really cool location. I'd like to see a loadout that's not boring. Like, please not boring. What we had at the beginning of this chapter was so unbelievably boring and didn't change that it just felt like we were playing Arena the entire time. Please, no more of that. I want to see crazy, chaotic items, like returning and stuff. I want to see like things like shockwaves and a lot of cool shotguns and rifles and SMGs and just anything that's ever been in the game. Just the craziest of the craziest fun stuff. I would like to see a lot of crazy new stuff too. Just some really solid weapons like we got last season with the IO and the alien weapons. Things that are just super fun to use and super creative, along with just fitting into the loadout very well. I would love to see some buffs and nerfs to guns, especially the pump. I want the Season 6 pumps back. Maybe adding double pump back would be fun, but I don't know. I don't know if that would be a little too overpowered or not. Just things like that would make the new chapter just be absolutely crazy. Like waking up to a new season and just being like, oh my goodness. It's not like Chapter 2 where like it was a new map and it was a new style of game, but it didn't really feel like an entirely new game. I want to wake up and think, this is not only like the old version of the game, and it plays out similar to that, and it really gives me that nostalgic satisfaction of playing OG Fortnite, but I want just something really new and crazy, like maybe just like one feature that just absolutely changes the name of the game, yet still stays true to Chapter 1-esque Fortnite. That would just be so perfect, and I would love that. Just imagine the possibilities, and think that they'll probably all be turned down because Epic Games doesn't like to change their game for the better. But, I'm going to give credit where credit's due, and if the new chapter is amazing, I'll be sure to make a video on that at some point. Maybe for some theories. I'm thinking we're gonna have like a weirdly shaped map this time. I'm not gonna say so much like, Chapter 1. I'm sorry, Chapter 1 that was more like a square. Chapter 2 that's more like a circle. I'm thinking we have something kind of like the image on screen right now that's just like this crazy shape, maybe like a lot of different islands and stuff. That's one theory. Man, I really don't have a lot of theories. I'm gonna be honest. Like, new vehicles, definitely new vehicles. Like something new. Rideable animals, that's been leaked, and that'll probably come out in the new chapter. Those are 3 theories I have right there, but I don't really have a lot of theories, honestly. I'm thinking we get a new biome of some sort. Maybe like shown in the right hand corner, there's an iceberg. That would be cool. But I'm thinking some other than like a jungle, sand, or swamp, or just like normal grass. I'm thinking we get something crazy. Some sort of new, like unique. It doesn't even have to be in real life, just something really cool, like maybe it's like red or yellow or something, but something that really changes the look of the map a lot. I think will be really nice. If I think of any more theories, then I'll put them in the pinned comment down below, but I mean, for now, that's really all I have. I don't know of like anything else I could really say or add to that. So thank you guys for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, to my friends who recommended I make this video, you're welcome, I guess. Yeah, nothing else really. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in chapter 3.